Dear ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when your voice will tremble, not because you lack the truth, but because the truth you're carrying is heavy, and it's easier to stay quiet than to speak up. But let me tell you something, your voice is a weapon, a gift, a declaration. Even when it shakes, it's not weak, it's real. Some of you have been silent for too long, silent about the hurt, silent about the injustice, silent about the calling on your life because you're afraid of rejection, afraid of judgment, afraid of being misunderstood. But the fear of speaking is not greater than the purpose inside of you that's waiting to break free. You may not have it all together, your grammar may fumble, your knees may shake, but if the words in your heart are true, God can use even your whisper to shake a mountain. We weren't born to be echoes, we were born to be voices. Loud, trembling, raw, honest voices that bring light into dark places. There is power in confession, there is healing in vulnerability, there is courage in the quiver, so speak even if your voice shakes. Because silence may feel safe, but it doesn't set anyone free. When you dare to use your voice, even through tears, even through fear, you give others permission to do the same. You don't have to be eloquent. You don't have to be loud. You just have to be real, because the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more truth. So today speak up for justice, for hope, for healing, for love. Speak your truth. Speak your story. Speak your faith. And when your voice trembles, that's not weakness. That's the sound of bravery breaking through. 10 key points of the speech. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the midst of fear. Your voice has power, even when it's uncertain or unsteady. Silence may protect your comfort, but it won't release your calling. Trembling voices can still deliver transformational truth. Speaking up gives others permission to do the same. Truth spoken in vulnerability is stronger than a lie spoken in confidence. Your words may be imperfect, but they can still inspire healing. The fear of being judged is not greater than the purpose within you. Even a whisper of faith can move mountains. Boldness isn't always loud, sometimes it sounds like a shaky, honest yes. Certainly. Here's a *** large. Length expansion of key point 1 ** from the speech **. Speak even if your voice shakes ** without subtitle and conclusion, fully in the style of a Stephen Furtick type delivery. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the midst of fear. And if you've ever stood on the edge of a decision, trembling, unsure, heart pounding like a war drum in your chest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Courage doesn't show up with fanfare and perfect posture. No, real courage stutters when it speaks. Real courage breaks eye contact sometimes. Real courage isn't loud, it's honest, and sometimes courage shows up in the form of a whisper that refuses to go silent. The problem is, we've been trained to think that courage always looks heroic, like the person with the microphone, or the one with perfect confidence, or the one who never hesitates, but that's not real life. In real life, courage means showing up even when your palms are sweaty and your throat is tight. It means saying what needs to be said even if your voice cracks right in the middle of it. It means choosing to speak truth when it would be easier to smile, nod, and shrink back. It's the mother who finally speaks up after years of hiding her pain, the student who raises their hand in a room full of silence, the man who admits he needs help. It's the believer who refuses to deny their faith even when it costs them something. That's courage, not the noise, but the choice the choice to move through fear, not around it. Because fear isn't the enemy of courage, it's the doorway to it. You don't need courage if you're not afraid. So stop waiting to feel fearless before you take the step. The very presence of fear in your life is the clearest sign that God is preparing you to walk into something greater. And every trembling step forward, every word spoken while your body betrays your nerves, is a victory over fear. You were never called to live quietly under the weight of insecurity. You were called to walk through the fire even if your legs shake. You were called to speak with boldness even if your voice does too. So when fear shows up, don't sit down *, stand up *. When your body trembles, Don't shut your mouth asterisk, open it asterisk. That's not weakness, that's war. That's you stepping into your divine assignment, afraid but obedient, nervous but ready, shaky but surrendered. That's courage, absolutely. Here's a large length expansion of asterisk asterisk, key point 2 asterisk asterisk from the speech asterisk asterisk. Speak even if your voice shakes, asterisk asterisk, delivered in a motivational tone similar to Stephen Furtick's style, without subtitle and without conclusion. When you hold back your voice, you're not just staying quiet, you're surrendering your influence. You're handing over your authority to fear, to shame, to the voices in your head that say, you're not qualified, you're not ready, you don't matter. But let me tell you something. Silence, when driven by fear, is not humility, it's hesitation. And hesitation is the thief of purpose. God gave you a voice for a reason, not just to speak, but to shape hearts, shape atmospheres, shape legacies. But too many people are shrinking their sound because they don't want to cause a ripple when God designed them to make waves. You were not created to stay quiet when the truth is burning in your bones. You were not born to be silent in the face of injustice, or to bow your head when your story could break chains for someone else. Your voice might not be perfect. It might tremble. It might carry trauma. It might feel small compared to the noise of the world. But it is powerful. It's the very thing the enemy wants to shut down. Because if he can keep you quiet, he can keep you from making a difference. And if he can keep you from making a difference, he can keep someone else from their breakthrough. There is somebody on the other side of your obedience. Somebody who needs to hear the very thing you're afraid to say. Someone is waiting on your testimony. Someone is waiting on your vulnerability. Someone is waiting on your yes. Not your polished performance, but your raw, real, honest voice. Do you think you need to have it all together before you speak? That's a lie. You don't need to be polished, you just need to be present. Because power doesn't come from volume, it comes from truth. And when you speak truth, even if it shakes, it still breaks chains. Even if it's soft, it still shifts strongholds. Even if it's timid, it still pierces darkness. So stop waiting to be ready. You will never feel ready. Speak anyway, declare anyway, show up anyway, because when you choose to speak, even in weakness, God shows up in power, and when you open your mouth with trembling faith, heaven fills it with purpose. Absolutely. Here is an expanded version of asterisk asterisk, key point 3 asterisk asterisk from the speech asterisk asterisk. Speak even if your voice shakes, asterisk asterisk, written in the empowering style of a Stephen Furtick. Inspired message without subtitle or conclusion. There comes a moment in every journey where you must stop rehearsing your fears and start releasing your faith. Too many people live stuck on mute, not because they don't have something to say, but because they've been convinced that their voice isn't worthy of being heard. That's not humility, that's bondage. And you weren't built to live in chains. You were created in the image of a speaking God, a God who brought the universe into existence with a word. So if you're his reflection, then your voice has power, not just to express, but to create, to build, to heal, and to break through. Every time you stay silent out of fear, insecurity grows louder. Every time you talk yourself out of speaking up, the lies gain momentum. But when you speak, even if your voice shakes, something shifts not just in the room, but in you. Boldness isn't the absence of shaking, it's the courage to speak in spite of it. And sometimes that's all it takes, a whispered truth that terrifies hell, a stuttered sentence that ignites freedom, a trembling testimony that cracks open a heart. You have to stop measuring your voice by how strong it sounds and start trusting the strength of the one who put it inside you. The enemy doesn't attack your silence, he attacks your voice. Why? Because it carries breakthrough. Because it carries influence, because it carries life, and if he can keep you quiet, he can keep others bound. But if you dare to speak, no matter how scared, you open a floodgate of truth and transformation that can't be reversed. The courage to speak isn't about having the perfect vocabulary, it's about carrying the right conviction. And conviction doesn't always come wrapped in confidence. Sometimes it comes wrapped in tears. Sometimes it sounds like a whisper through the pain. Sometimes it sounds like a broken heart trying to explain what it's been through. But it's real, it's raw, and that kind of realness is what this world is desperate for. Don't underestimate what can happen when you speak with sincerity. People aren't looking for experts, they're looking for authenticity. They're not drawn to polish, they're drawn to purpose. So even if you don't feel eloquent, even if you stammer or stumble, speak anyway. Because when you speak with vulnerability, you invite others to heal. When you speak with faith, even if it's shaking, you give someone else permission to believe. The world doesn't need louder noise, it needs louder truth. It needs voices that don't echo culture but reflect courage, and yours is one of them. You just have to believe it, breathe deep, and speak even if your voice shakes. Here is an expanded version of **, key point 4 ** from the speech **, speak even if your voice shakes, ** written in the impactful, faith-driven style inspired by Stephen Furtick, starting strong and keeping the emotional depth high, without a subtitle or conclusion. There are moments in life when silence feels safer, when holding it all in seems easier than putting yourself out there, when hiding your truth feels more comfortable than confronting rejection, criticism, or misunderstanding. But I need to tell you something: silence doesn't save you. It slowly suffocates you. Every unspoken dream, every withheld truth, every buried emotion becomes a weight your soul was never meant to carry. You weren't created to bottle up purpose. You were created to release it, even if it comes out trembling. When you withhold your voice, you're not just protecting yourself, you're unintentionally depriving the people connected to your obedience. Because your words carry a ripple effect. Your story holds the key to someone else's breakthrough. Your transparency might be the medicine to someone else's wound. Your truth, even when it's delivered through shaking hands and quivering lips, is the very sound someone is desperate to hear. Don't wait until you feel strong enough to speak. Strength doesn't always show up before the moment, sometimes it reveals itself in the moment. And that's why courage isn't about waiting for the shaking to stop. It's about choosing to move, to stand, to speak while the shaking happens. Because every time you step into the fear and let truth pass through your lips, that fear loses power, and your identity gets louder than your insecurity. You might think your words are small, but small doesn't mean insignificant. A whisper can trigger a revolution, a sentence can spark restoration, one moment of honesty can light a fire that hell itself can't put out. You don't have to preach a sermon, you don't have to speak in perfect metaphors. You just have to be willing to be real, to be raw, to speak from the place of truth that God placed inside you before the world told you to shut it down. This isn't about platform, it's about purpose. This isn't about popularity, it's about obedience. Some of the most powerful words ever spoken never trended, never went viral, and were never heard by a crowd, but they still changed the atmosphere of someone's heart. That's the power of speaking when you're scared but surrendered. That's the power of obedience over comfort. That's the power of being a vessel, even when your voice is shaking. When your voice shakes, it reminds the world that you're human. But when you speak anyway, it reminds the world that God is still working through humanity. That's where the real strength is found, not in the absence of fear, but in your willingness to move forward anyway. You don't speak because you have it all together. You speak because God is putting it together, piece by piece, in your journey, and your voice, even fragile, becomes a soundtrack of healing, not just for others, but for yourself. Here's the * expanded key point 5 * for the speech *, speak even if your voice shakes, *, written in the heartfelt, powerful style inspired by Stephen Furtick, no subtitle or conclusion, just deep emotional truth and spiritual intensity. There will always be voices inside you and around you. trying to convince you that staying silent is the smarter choice, that it's more humble, more wise, more safe. But let's be honest, sometimes silence isn't wisdom, it's fear wearing a mask. Sometimes silence is just a prison with no visible bars, and fear is the jailer whispering, "Don't speak." They won't listen, they'll laugh, they'll leave. But God never called you to live inside that kind of captivity. He called you to asterisk speak asterisk, to asterisk declare asterisk, to asterisk testify asterisk, even if your knees are knocking and your voice is barely above a whisper. Your voice is not a liability, it's not a mistake, it's not too much, it's not enough. Your voice is a weapon forged through pain, shaped by grace and anointed with purpose. Every scar you carry, every story you survived, every lesson you learned the hard way, they all built a sound in you. A sound that was never meant to be silenced. A sound that carries the unique echo of your journey. A sound that no one else can release but you. You may not feel brave, you may not feel eloquent, but courage was never about feeling, it was always about choosing. And your choice to speak, in the face of trembling and terror, breaks generational silence. It shifts atmospheres, it silences shame, it dethrones fear. Every time you choose to speak through the shaking, you're showing yourself and the world that fear doesn't get the final word. You do. Some of the greatest moves of God started with a scared soul saying something small, something imperfect, something vulnerable, but it was real. And God doesn't anoint perfection, He anoints authenticity. He uses surrendered voices, not perfect ones. So even if your voice shakes asterisk, especially asterisk, when your voice shakes, it becomes holy ground. Because now it's not about performance, it's about power. Not your power, His. That kind of obedience creates a ripple effect you may never fully see. One shaky sentence can give someone else the strength to stand. One honest admission can give someone else the courage to heal. One brave truth can set off a chain reaction of transformation that heaven itself celebrates. But none of it happens if you stay silent. None of it happens if you let your fear speak louder than your purpose. So the next time fear tries to shut you up, remember who gave you your voice. The next time shame tries to gag you with regret, remember who already redeemed your past. And the next time you feel your voice trembling, remember that trembling is not a sign of weakness, it's the sound of chains breaking. Speak not because you're fearless, but because you're faithful. Speak not because you're strong, but because you trust the one who is.